What's up, guys? This is episode 1, and we have the one and only Gary Vaynerchuk. Woo! How are you?
I'm amazing. Can I ask you a question first?
Yes.
Does it feel weird that every guest after your first guest will not be as good as your first? Like, does that set like a weird? Like, it's weird to me that your best episode ever is going to be the first one.
I know. So I'm gonna get Casey, hopefully.
Yeah.
So maybe he'll be able to.
You should get him second, because then your second best guest ever will be second.
There you go. So today is a special day.
It is.
Because you're putting out your Crushing It book. And
I am.
my first question about
Please.
it is John Mayer. So I have been a guitar player for over 10 years of my life.
Yes.
I know every single one of his songs on guitar.
Yes.
So when I saw that name, there's Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, there's Casey Neistat, and then I saw John Mayer. How?
And were you like, oh my God?
Yeah, I was surprised.
All of a sudden, 6 months ago, John Mayer's liking my posts on Instagram. Like, that's interesting. And then he sends me an email that was like, so John's been very, very, very good friends with a very good friend of mine named Ricky Van Veen, who runs Facebook's Watch World now and all, like a big deal, was a co-founder of College Humor. And like, I spent a weekend at Ricky's wedding and John was there and we didn't even talk once. I don't like to bother people and things of that nature. And so I've just known that he's a really good dude from Ricky's eyes, let alone being John Mayer. And so it was weird. He like started liking stuff and he sent me this incredible email. I guess he got the email from Ricky and we just really started hitting it off. He's super smart. I mean, even the email he sent me, I actually have to find it and print it. I weirdly wanted to hook up with him. He's like so dreamy. It's like so weird.
He's so talented too.
So talented. The words were like, I'm like, yes, John, I love you. Anyway,
That's
nonetheless,
amazing.
Super interesting guy, unbelievably smart, really gets it. Like, honestly, I think John did the best Snapchat execution in the height of Snapchat. He's just so creative. Nonetheless, he just felt so right. Quotes are funny with books. It's a timing of who's in your world at the right time. There's so many variables that go into it. I knew the book was going to go. I felt like this was going to be a huge book. And based on what's happening on Amazon right now, like I promoted it way less than Ask GaryVee, and it's not even close. Wow. I mainly think Ask GaryVee's book didn't do as well because I don't know for people that are listening, but there was this person that did the show with me. Her name was India. And I think she dragged down the Ask GaryVee sales. Because of her association of the show, but otherwise,
it's all India's fault.
By the way, I'm in the best mood. India's in the office right now. India's like my favorite. India, have you been here 5 years?
Yeah, over 5 years.
Wow.
Like super special to me. Like obviously we were very, very close during the Ask GaryVee years. Then she kind of like was like doing this whole thing. She was like, I don't think I want to be associated with you anymore. So she went on her own path, but I miss her dearly. And so like even being able to reference her right now makes me happy. And I'm so glad you came here. Yeah. So she decided to walk in here. 2
years ago, I officially met India and we've become such great friends.
I get it. She's
and it's
friend-worthy.
amazing. Yeah.
So John is super interesting. I think he's super creative. He's become a really good friend. And I knew that I wanted, with The Rock and Alba and John, some quotes in there. Casey obviously is got fame and awareness in a world that's similar to mine, though he has way more fame under 18 than I do for his YouTube sensations. And obviously Kristen Lemkow, the CMO, chases more for the business world. But The Rock, Jessica Alba, and John are quoted in the back because I wanted to make sure people that had never heard of me but walk by it at an airport and like, what's this? When they turn that around, they're like, whoa, The Rock and John Mayer, like, who is this guy? Yeah. And then they'll buy it, to be very frank.
Yeah.
And then, to be honest, I think I went for the jugular with the quotes because I think I wrote a really good book. You haven't been able to read it yet, have you?
So the first page that I opened, so going back to I played guitar for 10 years, first page I opened was Wampler pedals. And I was like...
Just randomly?
Randomly. It was the first page that I opened. And I've owned his pedals. I played his pedals. I know who he is. And I was like... This is amazing.
So it did it blow you away that like Crush It had such an impact?
Yeah. And so there's a good variety of things. So it's cool. Yeah.
It was emotional for me. We got lots and by the way, for everybody who submitted their stories of how Crush It, my first book in this genre, impacted them, please don't be mad at me. The publisher and my ghostwriter, they had a lot to say with like what got chosen. But like it's so crazy, and you're gonna feel this, and you're probably already feeling it, like inspiring people and helping people when you don't even know it's happening.
It's the best feeling.
Especially when you're a decade in and some of these people are actually doing legit shit, you know? So very special time for me in my career, and like it's right now as we're recording this, it's number 3 on Amazon.
Wow.
Which is just crazy.
Yeah.
Super hard. Ask GaryVee, when we did that 8-hour telethon India, we got to like number 80 or 34. So but like it quickly went back to like 150. Like and I'm not promoting this anywhere close. Right. This is one of the few things I'm doing.
Right.
Mainly because I know it's your first, podcast, and I wanted to like be a part of it.
Yeah.
It's just a really fun time for me right now.
And let's go back to the Chase thing. Some exciting news just came out. I don't know.
You're really on your shit.
I don't know if you're allowed to talk about it.
I am. That's why I put it out today.
Yeah, a partnership just came out between JP Morgan Chase and VaynerMedia, and you guys are going to be doing some voice marketing for them. So you're obviously very into voice. You know the ins and outs. But beyond podcasting, beyond stuff like simple audio, where is voice going to take, the companies like this, like JP Morgan Chase?
I think you're going to wake up in the morning and you're going to start interacting with Apple, Google, or Amazon, all of you, everybody who's listening. And that will happen either in 3 years, 7, 9, I don't care. But just like the smartphone, when everybody told me they wouldn't get one because why am I going to pay $400 for whatever the iPhone was at first, and my Razor or my BlackBerry is more than good enough. I'm like, yeah, cool, because you don't understand that Waze and Spotify and Instagram is coming. When there are skills, and those are complicated AI products on top of Alexa start coming out, when you were taught how to make incredible linguine by the best chef in the world that makes linguine, and it's simple, where it's talking back and forth with you, and you're like, chef, one more time, and the technology's in place where the app understands what you said and goes, okay, let's go back. It's the pepper 3 turns. Like, people don't understand what's coming.
Right.
Like, do you know what it feels like to be in your shower thinking of something and then being able to poke your head out, or however your shower is situated, and saying, Alexa or Google or Apple or Facebook or whoever's going to be in the game, Sony or what, I don't care.
Find any label.
Alexa, Alexa, stop. And so when you can say, hey, remind me to take Fluffy to the vet, and it's booked in your calendar, or who's my first meeting again today? Or whose birthdays are there? Can you just wish everybody a happy birthday with a text? People don't understand. This phone that we have right now, compared to the voice skills that are coming, is garbage. We are going to start texting a lot less in a decade because we're going to be voicing, because it's faster and we like faster.
And everyone has an Alexa, but we're waiting for those skills. Like, we're waiting for people to fulfill that.
Right, and everybody has an Alexa, right? Like, not yet, but you're right. There's a lot of them out there. But to your point, when the first killer app comes out, right? Then, when the Candy Crush comes out, when the Spotify comes out, when the Twitter comes out, that's when stuff gets going.
How do you use your Alexa in every day? What's the weather in New York City?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's music, weather, quick scores, random, like, I like to do funny, like, so my business partner in Pure Wow, I bought a women's publishing company, purewow.com, last year. So watch this. Alexa, who's Ryan Harwood?
Ryan Harwood is a former professional Australian rules footballer who played for the Brisbane Lions in the Australian Football League.
So this is funny for me because Ryan Harwood, who runs Pure Wow, I get to make fun of him by Alexa not knowing who he is. Alexa, who's Gary Vaynerchuk?
Gary Vaynerchuk, born in Babruysk, USSR.
Yes, I love it.
So basically, what I'm doing now is just saying everybody's name and then kind of like,
that is
making
amazing.
fun of them.
I love that. So you are doing so many things. You have VaynerMedia, you have Vayner Sports. That's exciting. But you're also having a lot of hip hop artists come in who are on the up and coming. Your stories are full of all of the amazing musicians. So my question is Vayner Music in the works? Are you going to start like a low-key music management?
Sarah, I'm not going to do anything low-key.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to do it, it'll be a high-key.
That's true.
No, there is no plans for a record label or a management company. However, music is one of the pillars of our society. And honestly, to be very frank, and you've felt this from me a little bit, I like paying forward, especially if I think you're onto something, because there's nothing more rewarding / intriguing to help somebody, period, comma, not good grammar. It's super fascinating to me when you can do that. It's super fun, like that little Uber. Let's read Iris. India. I'm sorry, Iris. India, because I want to keep
Craig,
it.
can you get that? India,
I want you to read that Uber email that's hanging on my wall.
Hey AJ, I want to say thanks for being our first ever Uber rider in New York. How was your experience? I also saw that you were looking for another ride last night, but we had no cars available. Sorry about that. I credited your account with $10 for the inconvenience.
So the fact that my brother, because we're friends with Travis, the founder of Uber, and he was here in New York. When was that? When was that email? 2011. You know, like to me, life is fun, and like there's stories are fun. Like to me, there's an email hanging in my office that says, sorry, there were no cars available in New York City. Like, it didn't even start yet. Same thing for me. There was something that happened where I was like, what if I met with Drake and The Weeknd and Lil Wayne, right? And Lil Uzi Vert, and like before they blew up.
He was up for a Grammy. Lil Uzi Vert.
That's right. Yeah. And so to me, like, that's really cool. Like that would just be fun for my daughter and son. Like, that would be cool for me to look back at one day. I love documentaries. So seeing documentaries of people with like, he was hanging out with Elton John before, like, I like it. I think it's interesting, and I really like hip hop music, and I've really like gotten into the new kids, and I can really help them. Crushing It is probably written as much for the time I spent with the things that we talked about in an earlier career, or what I give the advice to the hip hop kids or athletes now with Vayner Like, I'm sitting on a knowledge base and an appetite for legacy around me being a kind and smart. I want to be the greatest entrepreneur of this generation. I want to make it very simple. There's no low key about me. I want to be the greatest entrepreneur of this generation. I think that Jeff Bezos and Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk will build much more meaningful companies and will make a lot more money. I think I can have the biggest impact on the most future entrepreneurs by a landslide. And I think I'm going to see that through.
Well, I could tell you're a big part of my life and a lot of my friends' lives who are not just entrepreneurs, but also artists.
Yep.
You know, because there is a big side to creativity that you have to attach business at some point if you want to make it your living. And yeah.
I think what's been really interesting, I'd love to get your perspective on this, Cindy. I think one thing that's been really funny at Vayner is I don't think I ever talked a lot about my creative side, but I have so much creative firepower, you know? So I have a real crazy, India, I have a crazy affinity for artistic people. I love business, and I love getting artists practical so that they are not at the mercy of the machine. Like, Crushing It is for artists to me, here's the question, right? Like, there's an amount of money you want to live your lifestyle, and then there's like being happy and doing what you're doing. And like, there's, you know, some people are risk adverse and they rather have a job. But like, to me, it's like, man, there's so like I'd like to think that Iris and India are happy enough in their jobs that they want to be here as well. But there's a lot of people that aren't happy at their job. And I just think you can make $41,000 a year or $91,000. Forget about millions. Like, there's a lot of people out there who make $83,000 a year and hate their job and have to pay their student loans. And I'm just like, hey, if you know more about AC/DC than anybody in the world, or you love AC/DC, it's weird to me that just like you're starting this podcast, that they could start the AC/DC 2020 podcast, and the concept is we'll be talking about AC/DC as we head into the year 2020 and over to like there's just so much that can be, and the fact that AC/DC merchandise companies may want to sponsor that one day, or like Ticketmaster, or like, it's just real. I'm going to make a lot of money. I hate that I'm the example because I'm also a good businessman. Like,
so people see that, oh, you have to be making millions.
Exactly.
To
me,
point.
it's like, fuck no. You need to make, if you make 80K and you can make 68 doing it about the Smurfs or about hoodies or about pasta in Kansas City, that's nuts. And it's real. And people didn't believe me when I wrote Crush It. Now they do, because they know that there's people who make $1 million a year about slime. There's people like yourself. Like, it's real. I don't know what to tell you. It's real.
Yeah. That's good. And I like kind of the shift of narrative, talking about, you know, what does make you happy, and if it's $10,000 less than what you're earning now, why not? You know, what makes you happy? Because a lot of people see the Lamborghinis and the big houses, and they attach that to their happiness. And
because they're insecure, and they need a Lamborghini. Guys especially, guys will always want to hunt to close the gap on their insecurity, and they think a Rolex or champagne is going to make a pretty girl, or, you know, like them, and it's just not going to work. I mean, listen, it could work. The problem is you're going to attract a person who's also insecure.
Right.
And so, like, you know, it's just very it's very intense for me right now, because it's weird, because very cool people think I'm cool. And I don't think that's cool, though I do. I feel it's a huge responsibility. And what I want to push is kindness and patience and being a man and woman of your word and the long game and creating quality. I have a moment right now that's going to continue to grow. I don't think it's going away tomorrow. I have a 3, 7, 9-year moment where I have a chance to make a real impact. Because if I can make 16-year-old guys good men, well, then I can change the world. Like, if you think about it, like, if I can take an entire generation right now of 16 to 20-year-olds who think I'm rad, and boy, are there a lot. And I can make my virtues that my mom instilled in me, that I was born with, that who I am. Like, I like that the world's melting where bad guys are getting exposed that look successful because I don't harass women. Like, I don't suppress women leaders in my company. Like, I'm doing the right, like, I want the other thing to be cool. This is a special time. And I feel a lot of responsibility. So I'm just very, now listen, some people like Lamborghinis and like fast cars, and that's okay. It's not okay when you take pictures of a big stack of cash. Like, you know, I don't know. Yeah. By the way, that's fine. I don't judge anybody. Here's my punchline. Be a good person.
That's good. That's good. So shifting gears
Yes.
a little bit with VaynerMedia, VaynerSports, your own
Yes.
team, Team Gary.
Yes.
A lot of stuff is coming out. You have vlogs almost every single day.
Yes.
You do the podcast, Ask GaryVee show.
Yes.
So a big part of that is delegation. So
Yes.
you at one point had to say, I need XYZ. I need to hire employees for this. So a lot of people who have personal brands who are expanding are hitting this wall, me personally, of how do I get help to further this? You know, I need more than just me. And so what was that one moment that you kind of had the aha moment of delegation, whether it was like filming for Wine Library?
That's never been
or...
a problem for me, ever, because I always think about building high key, right? And so I know that 83% of me or 64% of me is better than me not doing it all. There's no issue with delegation. Like, you guys know that you need to hire people, reinvest into your business, all that.
It's letting go of the creative, which is the hardest.
And for artists, they're so romantic and it's so subjective. I think there's too much ego. I think all of you have too much ego. I really do. Because what I'm excited about is if you let somebody else do something, you may learn something from how the audience responds to it. My big thing is I'm not scared. Like, what's the audience gonna say? I'm ugly in that shot. I'm not funny in that shot. I was stupid. Like, it's all gonna work out. So I think the big thing for me, Sarah, is very simple. Is like, I think you need to trust your team because they may be right. And guess what? The only person that's right's the audience. And if you never try, you don't know.
That's good. That's good.
You know, and so I think a lot of people are missing, like, what if you were passionate about spaghetti, but you're best at, you know, meatballs? Or what if, like, you're super pretty person, but like the post that mattered was bad lighting and no makeup because it just made people feel like you were real for that 1 second. Like, they put you on a pedestal, but it's like nice to see a zit. Or, you know, like, I think about that stuff, you know, like I think about it.
That's good. Last question. What is something, like one story, one person, one aspect of crushing it that you want people to hear? What's something, you know, maybe they're on the fence. Why do I need this book? What's something you can share from it?
Honestly, I'm less worried about people like getting the book, like go to the library, steal it on like a BitTorrent. I really just want you to read it. Like, I mean it. Like, listen, I want you to buy 1,000 copies too. Like, I'm all over the place on that. That part doesn't excite me. What excites me is I wrote this book as much for you, who I think is very advanced, as I did for somebody who's never done anything on the internet. Meaning, for somebody who's never done, it's like time to try. Like, just make a 1 minute to the camera on your Instagram post about your thoughts on X. Period. Esports, WWE, like, I don't care. Jelly shoes from the 80s. Like, it's time. Number two, and this is really for you, like, you don't even know how I feel about you doing this podcast. I have no idea how much or how little impact I have on you doing this podcast.
You had an impact.
I thought so because I'm pushing all of you so hard to do voice more than anybody. And I know you're gonna win. You're about to build a much bigger audience because a lot of people wanna watch your videos, but they're busy. And now that when they're on their treadmill or going to work, they're gonna listen to this and they would have never watched this. It's a big deal. So for me, I wrote this book because I can't believe after where I was, even when you and I met, where I was on the pedestal of leadership on this genre, where I've gone in the last 15 months is a totally different plane. I'm in a totally different plane. 15 months ago, I would be noticed on the streets once every 2 or 3 days for a selfie. If I'm outside for a minute, I mean, I'm taking 34 selfies a day. I'm starting to get weird and kind of weirdly like, and I love it. I love the interaction. I'm starting to get
perspective. 2 years ago, we were almost at the same subscriber count, around 100,000, and now Gary has passed 1 million. Congrats.
Thank you.
Crushing it.
But you know what's even more interesting, and I think this is why I think you're special? I think you're going to win because you have something very real to say, and you're coming from a good place. Like, to me, I appreciate that. And metrics have some alluding to what's going on, but I'm much more, I look at metrics as width, right? Like how many, but depth. What makes me still spend time with you is I think you have depth. I have depth. Like, I don't think again, it was kind of like the Bezos and Zuckerberg thing. I don't think I'll ever have the most points, the most followers, like the most money, but depth, I think I have a shot, right? And through that depth, and so for me, I think that I'm just excited for you. Like, I think this book, and I don't even care if you read it, the energy of where I'm at right now is dragging you into new places. And if it's dragging you, well, then I'm off to the races. Because if I'm affecting you, you're about to affect a lot of other people. Mm-hmm. And that's when that little ripple, you know, that little, like, you put the pebble in the pond or the ripple effect, whatever, you know, like, I feel very lucky and blessed that I think I'm at the center of stuff and that I'm impacting people that are bigger than me, like The Rock. Mm-hmm. And John, like, that's cool.
It's huge.
It's huge. Yeah. And it really makes me feel good. And more importantly, the 15 to 25-year-old dude thing is real for me. And most of all, I've got sharp elbows. Like, I'm not Mother Teresa around here. I want to build businesses. I want to crush people and destroy them. Like, I'm very competitive. But it's
energy's contagious too.
But I think it's more like me putting on my jersey. It's like, you know, it's like my favorite, like I think about the Olympic girls soccer team. Like I watch girls soccer sometimes, like, these fucking girls are fierce as shit. You start looking into them in their lives and like they're so sweet and like I feel like I'm an athlete. Like, when I'm in my business zone, I put on my jersey and I want to kill everybody. I want to punch Casey in the face and you and everybody. But in real life, I don't. I want you to win more than anything. Like, when the game's over and we take off the jersey, I want to, like, switch jerseys with you and take a photo. I want to, like, help your sister get into the college she wants. Like, and so that's how I think about my life. So here's what I want. I want people who are listening to understand this. There's a lot more to go. There's a lot more to do. You haven't accomplished anything. There's so much opportunity that even me, who I think I'm at the best of my craft, I'm not even close. Do you know what would happen if Casey started a podcast? It would kill. It would kill. And he would be bigger, and he could do whatever he wants with that attention, cure cancer, make $1 trillion. I don't care what you do with your attention. I just know that there's a huge opportunity for more of it, so go get it. I wrote Crushing It for people that were 101 and people that were 201, maybe even 301, and that's why I'm so proud of it.
Heck yeah. Well, thanks for being on the first podcast ever. And one more note, speaking of the competitive side of you, on Twitter a few months ago,
yes,
I challenged you to a one-on-one
basketball game. I saw that.
I played basketball my entire, like, all
you're
of
good.
high school.
I actually think I might be weirdly ducking you.
So
I was about
interview,
to reply. Yes, we're doing it. Okay. I was literally about to reply and be like, yeah, let's do this.
Yeah.
And then I saw some sort of highlight and I'm like, okay, let me rethink this for 14 seconds.
So next interview, we'll love up, we'll get D-Rock,
I'm 100%
and we'll go
in,
shoot
by the way.
hoops.
I want to say this because I have a chance to lose all respect in the world. I'm going to say it right up front. I'm a bad guy when I play sports. So I just want to set that right now.
So with that going forward, we'll keep that in mind. But heck yeah, thank you so much for being on
I love you. I wish you nothing.
Exchange. Thank you so much.
I'm sorry. Yes, I love you and I wish you the best.
Oh, I love you, everything you do. Everything, like all the vlogs, all the speeches, keynotes. I just got back on your content again. So like 2 years ago, I ingested it and then I did it and I didn't watch for a year. And so I'm rounding back to it.
You know what's so crazy about that? I'm so glad we're ending with this. That has been so on my mind lately. God, I gotta tell you, it makes me feel really emotional. I really, really think about it like music. I'm like, fuck, man, I got a shot. I don't want anybody to consume my content. I want them to get it. and go get theirs, not juice I think one of the biggest reasons I'm not bigger with numbers is I don't do the behavior that builds big numbers. I'm losing people. I'm leaking people because I'm in. Who puts out content on YouTube that looks in the camera and says, "Stop watching me. Go do your thing," and then watches their numbers declining is weird when you're growing. That means you're really declining because you're still growing. I am proud of that. But then what has been funny is this is like the 10th time I've heard this in the last month. Real people like you that are winning and have it are reconnecting because I evolve. And so I continue to bring value. And that means I'm not a one-trick pony. And that means I can end up being like the people I would respect in music who have like 6 albums in them.
Yeah, that's good. So guys, go pick up the book. All of Gary's links are in the show notes, especially, new book, YouTube channel, Instagram. And also make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel, but also on Apple Podcast and Google Play. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Woo!
Awesome.
Guys, thank you so much for tuning in to this podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're new around here, again, my name is SARA DIETSCHY, rhymes with peachy. I have a YouTube channel. It will be linked in the top left-hand corner of the screen. Go check it out. Hit that subscribe button, and everything else will be in the description below for you to check out. You guys have a good one.